Hello everybody, this is Paco3D.art and today we are doing, so I'm just gonna make sure I got the microphone there. We're doing a video about rigging. Today I had a little misfortune. I forgot to press the record button in my class. And I am teaching one of the hardest parts in the character pipeline, which is essentially rigging. There is a million guys out there doing rigging tutorials. It is very common. But what I've noticed is that each person, they teach rigging in very different ways. There's no one way of doing good rigging or bad rigging. And just as a heads up, I am not essentially, like, my background is not rigging per se. But it is a video that I'm required to do for my students, and I thought, well, you know what? Let's do it for everybody, and why not? So let's begin. So I am going to use a tool inside here, inside of the public, so the ZBrush inside of tool. I'm just gonna use this male average guy here. And what's really cool about this topology here is that it's got, it's got really good topology. It's got the loops kind of the right place, so when we do a bit of skinning later, it's not going to be too bad. And we can always just go here in the subtool, and geometry, and look, if the topology there is a little bit too high, we can just turn this off. There you go. And we can use this as a base for the topology. I wonder if the hair is similar. So there you go. So we got really low poly. Let's also steal the eyes. And you might be able to use this yourself. We don't need all the other stuff. Let's grab this guy here as well. I came across this model by surprise the other day while following someone in a video, and I was like, whoa, this is perfect. I'm gonna use this, this is really good. And why not? It has dynamic off, so I'm just gonna turn that off as well. And this is gonna be treated as a low poly coolest to everything. So I think that's everything that I need to extract. I'm not gonna use the teeth or the mouth. It's just going to be eyes, hair, and this one here, as low poly as possible. So I think this guy here, yeah, it's got pretty good topology overall. I think this will deform just fine. No problem. It's got the right A pose as well, and it's got the legs sticking out. I'm pretty sure this was designed so it's very easy to rig. I don't think I'm allowed to share this with anyone, so make sure that you have a rig that is similar or a character that is similar if you want to follow along. So I'm just gonna go visible, export, out. And I wonder what's gonna be the settings here. I'm gonna make sure that I've got the projects in here with a character. I'm just gonna call this PR rigging character. And what I'm gonna do in here, I might pause this for a second. This is gonna be very boring. Inside of Maya, I'm just gonna do a new project. So I'm gonna go project window, new, press on the folder in there, go to that location in there, call this Maya, accept. Then we can go in here, cool. Save this out inside of assets. Human male average, it must be very average. So this is your high poly, I guess, or like your retopo. And by the way, sorry about the music. I don't know if the music is on in here, but I just need something in the background, and I put some sleeping music. So if you want to fall asleep, feel welcome. Anyway, so let's go import the asset. Import. And let's go to the assets, import that guy in. And there we go, we got the character. So whenever you import something, you always have to check the scale. And to check the scale, if I go here, character male, that's oh my goodness. I'm so unlucky in my life, I really am. But as you can see, he's got the right height. Sometimes the best way to do, so we go create, measure tools, distance tool, and I'm just gonna click here twice, 1 and 2. And let's move this up, this locator. Oh wait, I never did it twice. Caramba, I tell you one thing. So let's go again, measure tools, distance tool. So let's click 1 and 2 like that. And if we move that fella here and then up, and let's go to where the fella is. So he is 185. So he's pretty good measurement. Okay. One thing that I like to do when it comes to the shader, sometimes I like to give a shader that's a little bit friendly to the eye. You can always press this button, or you could just select everything, go new material. By the way, this is exactly 40,000 tries. How did they do that? That's a bit creepy. So if I go assign new material, favorite material, just go open PR or something like that. I would pick a color that's a bit darker and just do a little bit more, not metalness. Let's just diffuse, make it rough so it's easy to the eye. But also change I like to always change the color of the metallic to slight red. So then it's pleasing to the eye and you can see a little bit better. I'm not too happy the shading, what's going on over there. But I think they have designed this so it's easy to sculpt, so all their topology, it is as average as possible. And most of the times they'll be wearing pants, or they will be wearing a skirt or something like that, so that's fine. Cool, so we got preparation done. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is check the history. History is all clear, everything is clear. I thought when I started this, the process was going to be a little bit more involved, but let's do one more thing. So let's go and add 3 layers. So this is where you're going to have 3 things. Essentially, for the 3 layers, we're going to have, sorry, just going to close this. Cool. So we have, let's give this guy a name. So his name is Nick. All right. So always, whatever the name of the character is or whatever, make sure that you have that consistent across the whole project. Because say you've got a project with 20 characters, then everybody needs to know, oh no, that's Nick. Everybody knows who Nick is. So with your controllers and your boats and everything, Nick is your first name, right? So let's put a little bit of thinking in here. So if we go, cool. When it comes to the naming conventions, you have Nick. Go Nick. I've got so many friends called Nick as well, so this is going to be funny. Nick. But that's the name of the character in here. And then you got underscore. Then it has to be like body part. Body part. And then underscore. It has to be geo. So geo is anything that's like a mesh. Then you've got underscore G joint. GNT for joint. So this is like when you're going to create the joints later. Then you have anything that you are controlling the mesh. This is called the curve. It's called control. CTRL. TRL for control. Right. So this is for the controllers. Then controllers. Then we also have anything that is inside the controllers. You need to have this thing called an offset. What is an offset? An offset is essentially a container to make sure that whenever you put the controllers in there, you could put everything to 0, 0, 0 on the position, but also on their rotation. And so things will go back to that container. Think of this offset as a container. And what's really annoying about this is that most students don't get this and they go, why do you need this container for? Like, is it important? And they just put the curves and the parameter curves inside of it. And then they might have some problems. I'll be like, well, you got the problems because you did not do the offset containers kind of a thing. And they'll be like, oh, but you know, but it should be fine. I'm like, well, it ain't, because now you got a problem. So it's hard to explain. A lot of people go, well, why do it? And then they don't do it, and then it breaks. Just do it, and then you don't have the problem. You know? So these guys here, these offset containers, we call them groups. GRPs. Right? But if you want to put another name as like OST or something like that for offset, feel free to do that as well. Cool. And yeah, so you got the name of the character, the body part, and then you got geo or whatever, all these guys. So make sure that you keep these naming conventions, right? But then you also have layers, which we're about to set up right now. So with the layers, we're going to do anything that's geo as geo and then underscore layer. And then you've got joins as underscore layer as well. And then we've got controllers underscore LR. The reason why you're using the LR is because there might be something else that's got a similar name. And so underscore LR is going to make it very apparent that's a layer just for the geo or just for the joins or just for the controllers. Why layers are important is because sometimes when it comes to seeing things inside of the Maya project, you might need to hide them or unhide them so you can see very clearly what you're working on what you're not working on, right? So let's get on top of that. Let's name the objects. So let's go here. The first one called Nick underscore geo underscore layer. And you can put like a nice color, something green, sure, whatever. So that's one. Then this one here, we're gonna go Nick underscore joints underscore layer. All the joints are gonna go in there eventually. And here I like to use this color for some reason. For me, I always associate purple with joints. And then for this guy here, let's go Nick underscore controls underscore layer. Okay. And for controllers, I always associate that as blue for some reason. Don't know why. But again, that's a preference up to you. So now that we have done this is where now we're going to change those names. Interestingly enough, the eyes, I recommend that you make the eyes as a separate. We're going to split those as well. So let's make those separate for each of those eyes. Wrong button. No. Yes, cool. So now we got, we got two meshes. Get the hell out of here. So let's center the pivot point. Oh, mate. Mate. That's so extra. Sure. That looks like I'm staring into my soul. Sure. That we don't need that. Let's delete that for now. This is a means of learning, right? So if things are not accurate or whatever, or things don't work out with this, it's just for you to learn. This is a learning thing. So the problem with this here is if this rotates, let's make sure that this fits in the blue as much as possible. You see how it's not fitting inside of that circle? So we need to make sure the pivot points of these guys are exact into place. So this is a great opportunity to fix that as well with that preparation per se. Let's delete the history and let's grab a sphere that fits exactly in that position. So let's go sphere, move that. Let's go side view. Move that there. And then just go make that into fit as close as possible to that size, because this is the pivot point has to be exactly in the center. But sometimes eyeballing this out, it can be hard. So then what I do, I'll just create, like if this is something that's from ZBrush, I'll just go, cool, I'll just grab a primitive by hand, front view, and then I'll just match that fella as close as possible. And now I'm just gonna do the same in the mirror on the wall. So I'm just gonna go, to do this accurately, I'm just gonna make a new null. So null is Control G as an empty group. Control G. Gonna match that in the middle there. So because what I'm gonna do now is a mirror on the wall. And I'm gonna grab this fella here, put that in the null, and I'm gonna duplicate it, and I'm gonna do a mirror on the wall. It's just gonna go, you buddy, hold J for Joker, goes out that way. You know, this guy here is got the scale wrong, so we can just go freeze transform. So when it comes to rigging, it's very important that scale is always 1 to 1 to 1, because if you got the scale out in wrong proportions, the rigging is gonna explode on your face, and then maybe I will laugh. So I'm gonna put this fuse there. So now let's grab the pivot points out of those guys for those eyes. They are sitting exactly into place, and I think it's a great opportunity now. Oh, by the way, when it's black like my soul, like that, it means that you need to reverse the normals. It's not important here, but there you go. So now let's create some plugins in here. This is part of the preparation anyways. And these are buttons that we are going to commonly use when it comes to rigging. So one is, if I go here and select hierarchy, this is a very common button, and I will create these buttons inside of the rigging shelf in here. So if I go rigging, and by the way, bonus tool is fantastic as well. That's a common thing in 2025. You might have something that's a bit older, it's fine. It's not going to change too much. I'm going to go inside of Windows, plugin settings, and if I type in bonus, make sure that you have these two buttons on there. If you don't have the bonus tools, click on these two, save, and then you get the plugin. In here, we're going to go bonus tools, rigging, not rigging, create, separate on the shelf. We got that little thing there now, and I'm going to go in here to select hierarchy. Now, what's hierarchy? Hierarchy is one of the most important things when it comes to rigging and parenting, is how things are nested inside of each other with parenting. And say you've got a bunch of children, but you're only selecting the father of those children. If you click on that hierarchy button, it's going to select anything inside of that. If you've got a million bones, but you only want to select bones starting from the father, you can select the father and then you click on hierarchy. Here I'm going to use Control and Shift in order to have that button there, hierarchy. And so now it's going to be able to select stuff really easily like that. That's the first button we're going to have. The next one we're going to do a lot is match transformations, but also match pivots. So I'll explain to you. Back in the day, a lot of riggers would use constraints to like fix the positions of things. So things will go using the checkbox offset off. So things will teleport in location, and then they will delete the red chain. With this guy here, you don't need that, which is really cool. But also match pivot points can do that as well. So if I go here, match transforms, which we're going to be using a lot, holding down Control and Shift. And then we got match pivots. So we got those two buttons there as well. Next thing that I would like to have in here is we're going to install some plugins as well. But there might be, this is where now, you can also use prefix hierarchy names and also like search and replace names. Those are two pretty cool. But also here, whenever we're going to create some of these curves and some of these pieces, by the way, if you're like, what the hell is this guy doing? What's all these buttons for? It will make sense very soon, trust me. Here where it says polygon edges to curve, we're going to click on this button there. Make sure you've got linear, right? Cool. So we're going to have that button there as well. Convert lines to edges. So that's very good, important. And I think that is enough for now. Now, the next part that I want you to do with preparation, and I will put the link below, is if I go to Indie Rigging Tools, it's called the Indie Rigger. And this guy here, or girl, or it could be a girl, or man, or boy, or whatever, it's got a series of really cool tools, and I'm gonna install them myself now. Thing is, you don't need to use every one of these right now, but the ones that we're going to be using is shelf craft is cool because you can put colors with this, but it's not important because I got the bonus tool. But custom tool is super nice. Like, I'm gonna use that a lot. Then controller tools is super cool, and rename tools is very nice, and smart join. So this top 4 here, click it, download it, unzip it, look at the instructions on how to install it. I will do that myself now. So if I go now, I'm gonna pause this for a second to find the folder, location. Yeah, very good. So I just have to familiarize myself where you have to save those plugins. So you have to put them inside of Documents Maya. Then it is the year where you put those, then scripts, and then you just unpack them in here. Once you unzip them in here, the next step that you have to do in order to save this in the correct shelf. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do create a new separator on shelf, and I'm gonna use my favorite ones is the controller tools. You drag this to the viewport like that, so you got controls, then you go custom color, boom, then let's go rename tools, boom, and then you have smart joint, and we're gonna need all of these, right? And just to give you a bit of summary, we're nearing the end of the preparation. We just need to rename these guys. Here, there's other different controllers. I'll show you a bit of that later. We got the colors. We got the renaming kind of stuff, which is kind of cool. And we got the smart joints, right? So which we're going to be using in order to orient some of the things correctly, right? So make sure that in order to download this, just type indie rigger .gumroad.com. If you're feeling generous, please support this person. The scripts have been good. I've found a couple of problems, but it's not biggie. You know, just support. Just give them a coffee, buy them a coffee. I think if I keep on using them, then I'll give them a little treat. You know, like I'll spend some money on them. Now, next thing, we are gonna match this pivot point to this. You see how it's slightly off? But this is like pretty close to that, so I'm not gonna complain. I think that's pretty on spot. So in order to match the pivot point, you have to say this guy matches this pivot point. So if I press this one here, match pivot point. Now if I go like this and like this, they should both have the same pivot point. Cool, so that's correct. Now this guy here should be, you see how it's rotating around that same axis? So that's kind of how it works. You go, hey, I want this guy to have this pivot point in that order. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Let's go in the front view, because sometimes I get very mixed up with the order on how to do this. So I go, cool, so that's in the center there, which is the pivot there. So I go, this needs to grab from this. And I go, cool, match pivot points. And now they both should have the same, you see, same pivot points. And now it's safe to delete this because we have fixed the pivot point of those guys. Cool, they got the pivot points fixed. And now if I'm looking at someone's soul, the eyeball is staying in the middle of that pivot point. It's a very weird problem to have to fix that. And this is where now we can use that naming convention kind of thing. We can select this guy here, go. Nick has an eye that is on the right side. So that's something that I forgot to mention in the document earlier. And then Geo. Cool. If you're lazy, just copy that. Paste here. Change that to L for left. Wait. Yeah, left side. Here, we're going to go call Nick body. Body. If he has a shirt or if he's got like pants or whatever, then you can give him that as well. And for this one here, we can call this Nick underscore hair. And hair is going to be easy because it's going to be the whole influence is going to be with a hat. So that's going to be an easy thing to rig later. Cool. All right. Last but not least, we're going to create an empty group. There's going to be in space over here in the middle of the world. and we're gonna put all those objects in there. And then we're gonna call this Nick Geo. And if you're doing game stuff, it will be like, I don't know, underscore low, underscore high, whatever. And now this is where we can grab this, guys. Right click in the geo in here and then go add selected objects. So now if I press that, that's gonna hide it. But if I press this twice for reference, I'm not gonna be able to select it by accident. Okay, and this concludes this video because it's 25 minutes. I'm sorry if I took your time to do this, but this is what we're gonna start with. I wonder if I'm able to share this as a resource. I might need to ask around if it is possible for me to share this as a resource so people can follow with me around. But I'm scared to share him and then maybe I'm gonna get told off. You know what? I will share this file, not the actual. Oh, it says Maxon ZBrush. Interesting. Oh yeah, I will share this, and if Maxon or any company comes to me and they say, "Hey, you can't share this," then you know why I've deleted the link. But I will share it as a learning resource, okay, to learn how to do rigging. And I will save this. Go save as rigging. Go rigging underscore. It's better to get in trouble than not sharing it at all. Go rigging underscore version 1 prep file. Cool. Alright, I'll see you around and I'll do video 2 where we're gonna start to do some bones.